everyone, and welcome to District 43 Education Series. My name is Lu Zhang, and I am the Program Quality Director with Toastmasters International District 43. Today, it's my pleasure to have 5 Toastmasters leaders from District 43 who have extensive experience and knowledge of this very important Toastmasters activity, speech contests. Together, we will have our 360-degree look into this topic with each one of you. First, we have distinguished Toastmaster Roger Pritchett. Roger was our 2021 District 43 District Contest Chair. Next, we have distinguished Toastmaster Mary McClendon, distinguished Toastmaster Larry Haug, and the Toastmaster Reggie Cunningham. Last but not least, we have our district timer team, Phillips. And without further ado, I'd like to start with the questions. First question is, I want to ask every panelist here, what is your first impression of Toastmaster speech contest? If you can share with us the time, your role, and your experience of your first contest. I'd like to start with Roger.
Thanks, Lou. Thanks for inviting me to be on this panel. You know, I've been a Toastmaster for a long time, and I'm fortunate that my first contest was a very good one. It was very well run. And so that gave me a good overall general impression of Toastmasters and Toastmasters speech contests. I can't remember a lot of the details from 26 years ago, but I do remember that it was a very enjoyable experience and one that helped me cement my desire to be involved with Toastmasters extracurricular activities.
Awesome, awesome. How about you, Mary?
I'm like Roger, that's 20-some years ago, almost 30. But the first time I did go, I was very impressed with the contest. And I was saying, yes, I want to do that. And as a matter of fact, I think I competed in maybe 25 contests.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that with us. How about you, Larry?
Well, I've competed in every single contest that Toastmaster has. I've also served as every role in a contest, from contest chair to chief judge to sergeant at arms to timer, you name it. And my experience is that I like contests. I really like the competitive part of Toastmaster contest, and I like the organization that they have set up in the rules. The rule book is really important to go through, both from an official and from a contestant. So I really enjoy contests in Toastmasters.
Glad to hear that. Reggie.
Thank you, Lou. Mine is going to be a little bit different from everyone else's since I don't have the distinguished experience that they have. But my very first contest, I can only describe as scary. And the reason I say that is because it was my very first year in Toastmaster. I was the charter member and the VPE. So I had to put on our club contest, and I didn't know anything about Toastmaster contests. So I leaned on quite a few people to get that done. That's why it was such a scary experience, but I was glad that I went through it and it was enjoyable once it was over.
Wow, awesome. Wow, Tim, I guess this is your turn.
So showing up at the meeting, and David Townley walked up to me and said, "We need a judge." So I went ahead and do the role of a judge. I had not had a lot of experience. Next thing I know, I was helping Cynthia with the area contest, and we ended up counting ballots. And then the next thing I know, I was ended up being a judge at the Memphis conference in 2018. It was quite a interesting experience, which I did enjoy, and that's why I'm still here.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. No matter it's a scaring experience or an interesting experience, all I heard is that each of you really enjoy the speech contest. And that really keeps you active and be so involved in this important activity in our Toastmasters life. Well, my next question is, what is the most memorable contest you've been to? And I'm looking at those panelists who have been involved with speech contests for many, many years. Larry, do you have some story to share?
Thank you, Lou. I had been a member of Toastmasters for about 2 years, and I entered the table topics contest. I wanted our club, I wanted our area, and I wanted our division. Right after the division contest, our area governor unfortunately was killed in an auto accident. And the district director came to me and said, Larry, we would like you to take over as area governor. And I said, but I'm competing in the table topics contest at district, so I can't be an area governor now. She said, oh, okay. So we went to the district. I was a contestant. I went on the stage. I answered my table topic question. I walked off the stage, and the district director was standing there, and she said, you are now the area governor for Area 25. So I served as an area governor for the rest of that year and the following year. But that was my most memorable contest. And I came in 3rd place in table topics so that year.
Congratulations, Larry. And I have a very similar experience. Well, not such short transition between the contest and the leadership role. I was asked to serve as area director after I won the first area contest. That was also my most memorable experience there. And Roger, do you have some experience to share with us?
As Larry mentioned, there's a lot of different ways to look at these memorable experiences. You can look at it from the viewpoint of the contestant, but you can also look at it from the viewpoint of a contest official. I enjoy being a contest official more than I enjoy being a contestant, though I've done them all. And I have to say, having the opportunity to serve as a judge at the World Championship of Public Speaking was very memorable. Yes. Thinking that I was going to be helping to choose the top speaker for that year was really exciting. It was a lot of fun.
Wow, Roger, I'm jealous. I want to share with everyone. No one told me before I started my PQD role this year, but the serving as PQD, actually, they invited us to judge the semifinal. So I watched the entire semifinal, that semifinal contest. I was so amazed. And after that, I felt so excited. I just felt, wow, what if we have a contestant on that stage from our district? So this is the goal. This is the goal here. We want to get our members excited and more talented and well-prepared contestants to jump into that stage. Well, my next question I want to ask all of you here. For a contest, we know it requires a lot of work and planning. So for each of you, what is your favorite role in a contest? Let's see, Reggie, how about we start from you?
Audience participant.
You want to be audience?
That requires the least amount of work. So actually, I enjoyed being a judge. I'm not quite sure why. I felt a little stressful in trying to discern the different qualities of each speaker and make sure I did my best to judge them as equally as possible. But that was the experience I enjoyed the most in participating in the contest.
Thank you, Reggie. Now I know where to find our judge. Mary, how about you?
My favorite position is the chief judge. By being the chief judge, I get a chance to go in the count room and I get a chance to see the ballots. And then I get a chance to see something that I really don't like sometime or really disturbs me is that I see something like bias, something like it. And I'm saying, now, wait a minute, because I've been around for a long time. I think I'm a pretty good judge, but you may have 5 judges and you got 3 judges with the same answers. And then you got 2 other judges with just whack answers, may have been totally opposite from the other 3. And I'm saying to myself, wait a minute. And that concerns me because if we keep continuing to judge the way we're judging, we will never have anyone on the panel, on the top 10 or top 8. We will never have anyone there if we keep doing it this way. I'm just hoping that it changes. But that's the position I like to be in, because then I get a chance to see who's really a real judge and who's pretending to be a judge. So the chief judge is I know the chief judge chooses judges too, but then sometimes the judges are chosen from somebody else and they put them in. But being in the ballot counting room is one of those places where you really see when the rubber hits the road.
Well, if in our audience we have a brand new Toastmasters, so I just want to mention, as a chief judge, the person actually could not vote, right? So
Right.
like Mary said, yeah, they will be responsible for finding the judges, but they cannot vote. Well, how about you, Larry? What is your favorite role?
Well, I like to be the chief judge. I've done that a lot of times. However, my favorite role is being the test speaker for the evaluation contest at the district level. And I've done that a few times. And that is a hoot, man. You got all those people looking at you, giving a speech, and then you listen to all the evaluators that have different perspectives of what you did. That's really a high. It really is.
Imagine how many feedback you can get just from that one
Yeah.
contest. Next, I'd like to ask a few questions towards each contest role. First, I do want to ask Roger first, and then Larry. Is it easy to host a speech contest in your mind?
My answer is that it is not easy to host a speech contest, especially if you want it to be done well. It takes a lot of preparation. So if you're looking for something that's just easy to do, a slam dunk, then being the speech contest chair is not for you, nor being the chief judge. You need to study the rule book. You need to know it well. Really, if you're going to host a speech contest, you need to have practice. So host your club level speech contest, help with an area level, help with a division level. You need to get in a lot of practice to do it well. It is not easy. And what I found out from being the contest chair for the District 43 contest last spring, I found the virtual contest to be much more difficult than an in-person contest. Now, some people might disagree with that, but we did a lot of work getting ready for that.
Thank you, Roger. Well, and now we have been on the Zoom for 18 months, and I'm glad that we are getting more and more experience and the practice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Larry?
I agree with everything with Roger said. And I would like to add that if you're going to host a contest, have a list of what do you need for the contest. Participants, contestants, officials, a location to have the contest if it's outside your normal venue, and also have good contest scripts. Have them really there so that you can have your officials follow a contest script, and especially for the contestants, so that everything is done A, B, C, D, right down the line. And that way, I think you can have a successful contest. and also have somebody to help you. Don't try to do it alone.
Lou, if I could, I want to add one more thing to what Larry said. Actually, it's just elaborating a little bit more. There are so many moving parts when you're the contest chair, so many different things to think about. It can get lost in the shuffle to actually sit down and think through what the contest is going to look like in practice.
Mhm.
But so it's really good to stop at some point just before the contest and think through what kinds of things am I going to say? So that's along the lines of what Larry said about scripting, but you need to think, how am I going to make transitions? How am I going to keep this moving and keep it interesting along the way?
Thank you. Exactly. Last year, I got to visit all the division levels contests, and I definitely learned a lot. Given opportunity, watching other firsthand experience, like how others run the contest, will be really helpful. Next question is, I want to ask Larry and Mary, because you both are very experienced chief judge. How do you usually recruit judges?
Go ahead, Mary, you go first.
Well, the thing is, it's a little difficult finding judges. And it's because we are members of so many clubs. And because the judge can't come from a contestant club, the pickings become very slim. But we try to be as fair as we can in choosing the judges, making sure each division is on a district level, making sure each division is represented. We try maybe to get 2 from each division and then choose a tie-breaking judge from one of the clubs from a club that does not have a contestant for sure. But that's usually kind of hard to do, but we can search it and see. And the number one thing is that we have to check and see, are they qualified? Are they qualified? How many contests have they judged? I heard Timer Tim say that he was just asked to be a judge. And I'm like, oh my. So like that would have been, his heart should have been beating way out here. And the contestants should have been beating way out here too if they had known, because we need to make sure that our judges are experienced judges, that they have judged on more than one level, that they've judged on the district level before, not just in their club or in the area. They needed to have been on the district level too. It's because it's so important, because the contestants are relying upon them to make a good decision, because they work hard to get to the next level and their eye is on being the world champion. And so when we do an injustice of choosing the judges that are not fair, that are not looking at the end picture or the big picture, they're just looking at the fact that, well, maybe I want my person from my club to win. We must get away from that and try looking at seriously picking a winner. So it's about choosing the right judge and to make sure they're qualified.
Well, Larry, what's your experience with choosing judge?
One of the things that I really strive to do, if I'm going to be the chief judge at a club, I want the judges from other clubs. I don't want judges from our clubs. I want them from the other club. If I'm the area chief judge, I want judges from a different area. And if I'm a division chief judge, I want judges from outside the division. At the district, it's kind of hard to do, but you can do it because all the district conferences have people, guests that come from outside the district, the keynote speaker or an official that's coming to visit, and try to tap them, especially for the tie-breaking judge. Try to get somebody that is not familiar with any of the contestants.
I agree.
That way, I think you have a better chance of getting the perfect winner for your district. And sometimes it's hard to do. You have to make changes. For instance, if I'm going to be the chief judge at a club, I'm going to go to another club and say, hey, let's swap. You give me judges and I'll give you judges. And that way you kind of share all those roles. And that's a good thing to try to continue from the club to the area to division, and as best as you can do it at the district.
That's a good suggestion, Larry. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Larry. And I remember last year for Division E and F, we kind of exchanged the judges at the division contest level. And this is more, it's easier at this virtual environment.
Yes, it's easier at virtual, yeah.
Well, my next question is about how do we usually find other functional roles for our speech contest? And I want to first ask Reggie.
How do you find functional roles? Well, for me, flattery works very well. I try to use my experience in watching people, and I try to use the people that I know are hungry for wanting to put on a good contest. So they're willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that that particular contest is the best that it can be. So for whatever role, I want to make sure that they have some experience doing that. And personally, for me, being the timer is the most difficult. So I would never want to do that in a district contest. But being a judge, being a counter, being the sergeant at arms, I want people that I know have performed well in those roles when I try to recruit people for certain roles.
The other thing is that I'm always in a training mode, and everybody knows that. So when it comes to some contests and some things that they can do, when we were face to face, I would choose some people to be the timer and be the backup timer. And then I would teach them how to be a ballot counter in the room. So I would always choose some more people that way. The judges I'm very particular about, but when it comes to timers and counters, I can pick anybody to do those roles and teach them real fast, and they can do it. Now, I don't know if I can find a timer really. Oh, we do have one in Capital City who's really good at timing, but nobody beats out Timer Tim.
Sure. Thank you for sharing that, Mary. Well, how about you, Roger?
Recruiting is just that. And sometimes it's tough. You just have to get on the phone. When I was working on recruiting for the district speech contest, I made a lot of phone calls. Now, it helps when you have been around a while, you know more people. It helps when you pay attention and you see what various people do and what they like to do. So those things help. It also helps a lot to delegate. And that's a skill that Toastmasters really helps people to learn. Don't try to do everything on your own. Get other people to help you too.
Thank you, Roger. I'm so glad that you brought it up. Like, yeah, do not only rely on yourself, always ask for help. And also, like Tim mentioned earlier, the area director, division directors, all those people who have been around, they are all, they have the knowledge, they can find answers for you, and they can also help recruiting. So we will have a lot of help from the district. A contest cannot be successful without the contestants, right? So I want to ask everyone here actually, what do you think makes a good contestant experience?
I think fairness. That's, I think, is the most important thing, that you have judges that are impartial, that follow the judging format, that understand the judging format. I think that's critical for a contestant. I have seen many contestants, like Mary says, yeah, you wonder how this person won. So yeah, I think fairness and being familiar with the forms is paramount so that you put on a good test. And one of the things that I think is also important that we haven't discussed is the contest master. I think that is a critical role. And I think you really need an experienced Toastmaster as your contest master
Yes.
to really make the contest flow.
I noticed something at the international speech contest. In District 43, we've always been taught to just say the title just straight out, like monotone. It's time for a new dress. It's time for a new dress. Toastmaster Mary McClendon. But they were doing things like, it's time for a new dress. It's time for a new dress. And I'm saying, it looked like the contest master was giving extra to people with their introduction. When it comes to table topics, I always tell the table topic master to read the question.
Yes.
Don't try to memorize the question, just read it. That way they will say it the same way every time.
Yes.
But if you're trying to memorize it, then certain words will be up high, so words low and all of that. And it may give a different impact to the answer that the person may give. So just read the question.
How about you, Reggie?
Having just recently participated in our spring contest, I think for the contestants, familiarity with what they need to provide, their computer, their video, their recording device, to make sure that they're very comfortable with that, and to have practiced that before the actual contest. In this virtual setting, it's very different than doing it in person, and we're all are still getting used to it, even though we've done it for 18 months now. It's still just a little bit different doing it in virtually than doing it in person. And if you can get comfortable being by yourself and making sure your equipment is working, then that helps to make it a little easier, a worry you don't have as you are giving your presentation.
We need to make sure that when we're conducting contests that we keep the contestants as the focus, because you're right. It's not a contest without contestants. And too often, I think the officials begin to think that the contest is about them. Now, it's important to have good contest officials, but we need to keep the focus on the contestants.
Yeah, well said. Just like we always we want to serve our members. Members or their needs go first. Contest, we need to focus on the needs of our contestants.
So I always make sure that the contestant has a copy of that judging form so they'll know what the judges are looking for as they prepare their speeches.
I agree, Mary. I think giving the contestant the judging form is very important. I watched an evaluation contest, and in the evaluation judging form, there was, I think 15% was having a summary of your evaluation. And there was not a single contestant that summarized their evaluation. I mean,
and by the way, Larry, that happens over and over in
does.
evaluation contests. I've seen that many times myself.
Yeah. And I think it's because the contestants don't understand the form of what they're supposed to be judged with.
Well, this reminds me, a few years back, I drove with a lady who later won the district level evaluation contest. So I was driving and she was practicing. I learned that she does have a template, which have the complete like structure, opening, the body, and the summary. Larry mentioned that. I'm like, oh, wow. Yeah, that will be very helpful to make sure she doesn't miss that point.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, I also want to hear from you. I know you have helped the contest as a district leader, and this year you also serve as one of our area directors. So in your opinion, what makes a good contestant experience?
On the contestant side, I think practice, and also get feedback from your club members. That is extremely important because that you can improve on it. You can get a lot better at it. And so the main thing is encouraging, if you're not in the contest, but it's just encourage them to do the best you can, the best that he or she can. Give them any type of feedback that you can think of.
Thank you, team. Yes, again, in this virtual environment, it's easier for the contestants to find other clubs or other group of people for them to practice and become better. We have been in this Zoom environment for 18 months. So next, I want to talk about the virtual contests. All of us, we started with in-person contests, and now we found ourselves in this virtual environment. Virtual contests, like Roger said, could be very challenging compared to the in-person one. I'm interested to know, how do we really serve those functional roles in virtual environment? For example, the timer. How does that?
I've set up different devices. I have like 2 stopwatches. So as a case, if one of them clunks out on me, which it has before, use a Google Doc, or whether you text yourself, you need to be, or create a group meet just between the two of you and the chief judge. That way you can be in communication during the contest.
Thank you, Tim. I think it's a great idea to create some kind of tool for the timers to connect between themselves and also to provide these results to the chief judge. Next, I'd like to ask about the surgeon and the arms. Larry, I know you kind of mentioned that you think we might not need a surgeon arms in a virtual contest. Why do you think that?
Well, the function of the sergeant at arms was to keep control of the room, to keep people out when somebody's speaking, to only allow them in during the breaks, to escort the other sergeant at arms, to escort the contestants in your table topics and evaluation contestant. So I think in the virtual world, that function is served by the Zoom master, because it's the Zoom master that moves people around from room to room. So I think in a virtual world, the sergeant at arms is the Zoom master. And I think they do that same function.
Well, Reggie, when you were a contestant earlier this year, how was your experience inside the breakout room?
Well, when I was a contestant, I was competing in the international speech contest.
Oh,
So I didn't really have to have a breakout room. I was able to watch others, speak before me and after me. It just gave me a little bit of, I guess, emphasis into how well I need to do if I wanted to win. But outside of that, that part was like a regular speech contest for me.
As we are talking about breakout rooms, one tip I remember is sometimes the contestants may have two accounts there. They may use one for the screen, one for the audio, so make sure move both of the accounts, to the breakout rooms, because the purpose is to prevent them from hearing other contestants' speech.
yes.
Well, again, that's the Zoom master should control that. And even if somebody has 2 computers with different accounts, to make sure that they can't log in with the other system into the main room when somebody else they're competing against. So that's the Zoom master needs to really stay on top of that. So you really need to have a good Zoom master, right? Yeah.
And then it's all about integrity as well.
Yeah.
But how about the ballot counter?
The ballot counters have always done a great job under my leadership. They have the form ahead of time. I send them the form. We go over the form. I don't care how long it takes. We take the time to make sure they understand the form, understand the points and all of that. And then at the end, we bounce them off of each other. But before then, to get it from the judges seems to be a little bit of challenge, because we've had some people that did not know how to text their information, or they didn't know how to take a picture of the ballot and send it to the chief judge. There were just some things they didn't know how to do. And so that's one of the things we need to work on with the chief judge, with the judges as well, that they know how to get the ballot to the chief judge. And then once the ballot gets to the chief judge, then the chief judge either flashes it on the screen, that ballot, or they text it to each one of the counters so that they will have a picture of it. And then we calculate the numbers and then check it all at the end. And then I give them that speech. Remember, what goes on in the count room, Larry, stays in the count room. I don't care if the president, the international president of Toastmasters, comes and asks you what went on in the count room. You tell him or her. You cannot tell them.
We need a lot of training.
Yeah.
You know, Lou, all of this talk brings up an interesting point in that, yes, we do need experienced people in every role for the contest, but the only way you can have experienced people is by constantly bringing in new people.
Right.
Now, you don't want to have a contest that's totally staffed by new people.
I agree.
But we bring in some new to work with the more experienced so that some of these tips and secrets get passed on to a new generation.
You have a protege and you have somebody experienced that carries that protege around. It's like a mentor-mentee. And that's the way you start at the club level. You do it at the club level and go from there.
Absolutely. Thank you for all those advice. And I look at the screen, I know who I should go to when we need this kind of training and really preparation for our future volunteers this year and the years to come.
What Roger said, Toastmaster Pritchett just said, if we can bring them alongside some new people, yes, bring them alongside. Maybe their ballot will not count, but at least they'll start to get the experience.
Right.
Or as a ballot counter, as a timer, unofficial judges, unofficial timers, or in training timers and in training chief judge, in training chair.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mary. Well, for the rest of our panelists, do you have anything to add as very good practice in the virtual contest that you really want to share with us?
I think Mary and Roger and Larry can put on a class in putting together a contest. That would be a master's class for sure.
Well, the good news here is Larry will give our future judges in District 43 this year a training or many trainings in the future. Yeah, Larry already committed to be to train our future judges. Well, time goes really fast. My last question to everyone. Well, you have provided so many great advice and suggestions for club officers, area director, division directors in the future to prepare for those upcoming contests. At the end, I want to ask each of you just one advice for them to start with.
It's pretty easy to look at the putting on a contest as just another task amongst the many tasks that we have. But Toastmasters International looks at our speech contests as a recruiting tool. And in many ways, it's also a retention tool because some people join Toastmasters because of the contests. And so I want to encourage anyone who is planning to take on leadership of a speech contest to view it as a higher calling. It's not just another task in all the things you have to do this year, but it's something that's important and it can serve our district and our clubs as a recruiting and as a retention tool.
Thank you, Roger. Wow, the contest is a recruiting tool. That's a great point.
One word, plan. Make sure you have a plan. Don't go into a contest, no matter what your role is, without a plan of how you are going to accomplish that role. And that's the bottom line. You're the VPE of a club. You're responsible for putting on a contest. Plan for it. Not wait till the last minute. Take your time. Start doing it right now. If the contest's in February, now's a good time to start planning for it.
Thank you, Larry. Yeah, the club contest will start in mid-January and last until the end of February.
My answer goes along with what Larry said. Start early. That will kill the contest if you don't start early. There are so many different parts to putting on a good contest that you need to go ahead and, as Larry said, plan now. Start planning who you want to fill certain roles, and then start asking them. Start planning who or what times did you need to have certain things done, and especially plan when are you going to have practice sessions with the judges and the contestants, because those sessions are different for everyone and everyone can't make every session. You want to give them ample time to at least practice what they're about to get into.
Thank you. Practice. Mary.
Plan, prepare, and practice. On all plan, prepare. They've said it all. Plan, prepare, and practice, so that everybody will be comfortable in the role that they're playing, especially in the club area. Sometimes people are just encouraging people, just send someone, just send someone. No, they need to practice. Let's go ahead and you practice being the chief judge, practice being the ballot counter, practice being the timer. Let's practice on this level so that when you go to the next level, you will know exactly what to do. So I say practice. Now, what was it? Plan, prepare, and practice.
Thank you. Plan, prepare, practice. 3 Ps.
And that, Louis, that goes for the contestants too. We want them to practice and practice, because when they compete, they help make the other contestants better. And that's how we get the best of our best.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
But even in our club levels, when we have our meetings, we conduct our meetings like they're contests. If we have a time disqualification, we say there was a time disqualification, because we want them to learn. We say when we introduce someone, we introduce them by their name, the title of their speech, and their name. We do it like this so they can get the practice that they need.
Thank you, Mary. Very good.
Somebody in our club gives a speech or table topics or evaluation and they run out of time, we start clapping.
Well,
Yeah.
the main thing is no matter what you do, relax, get it done. If mistakes are made, you can learn from them for the next contest and stay involved. Everything we do in Toastmasters is practice. We are all teachers and we are all students.
Yes.
No matter how, if you've been with Toastmasters for 40 years or if you've been with Toastmasters for 2 months, this is where we learn and encourage each other to be better.
Yes.
One other thing that I want to add is have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Have fun.
Yes.
Make a contest fun. Super.
Well, I do want to add one more advice. We did not really talk about that, which is the backup plan. If you have been involved in a speech contest, you know there may have the last minute change. So have a backup plan. I think as long as you don't have a test speaker couldn't do it, that's pretty hard. You need to look around and find another speaker. Like for other roles, if you have a backup plan, usually it will be fine.
Okay.
With that, I really want to thank each of our panelists, Roger and Tim, Larry, Mary, and Reggie for joining us today. Please know that we really appreciate your insights into this speech contest topic. And this can really help our members to start to think about the speech contest and what kind of role do they want to play in this program year. And for the audience, thank you for joining us today. Please stay in tune for our contest-related training in the winter club officer training. And please enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you again for joining us.